It's never too late if you do this. In this episode, I'm going to address the question, when is it too late to start saving for retirement? Get ready, because it's never too late, but the sooner the better. So I'm Doug Andrew, and what do I know? Well, I've authored 11 books so far. One, I was blessed to have it become a New York Times and Wall Street Journal #1 bestseller back in 2007. That was book number 4. Recently, I released my 11th book, and I'm currently ready to release my 12th book. In all of these publications, I love to educate people like you and answer questions such as this one. I wish I had a nickel for every time somebody has asked in an audience or on a webinar or a live seminar, hey, Mr. Andrew, when is it too late to start saving for retirement? I'm 50, I'm 60, I'm 70. And I go, it's never too late. Now, the reason why I bring up my 4th book, it was titled The Last Chance Millionaire, okay? It's not too late to become wealthy. In this book, which again, the second week it was released, we were honored, we were blessed that it hit New York Times and Wall Street Journal #1 bestseller list. And here's why. Back then, there were 78 million baby boomers in America. I'm one of them. And many of these baby boomers were feeling like, golly, in 2001 to 2003, they saw their retirement nest eggs, traditionally in the market, lose 40% in value after 9/11. If they had $1 million nest egg in the market, they saw that $1 million dwindle down to $600,000 by the end of 2003. It took 4 years till 2007 to make back what they lost. And so they felt like they had lost their future. They had to put off retirement 7 years. Now, in my book, I talk about how people during that 7-year period doubled their money. Okay, $1 million doubled to $2 million instead of losing and barely coming back to break even. In 2008, most Americans saw that nest egg dwindle in value again 40% in one single year because of the mortgage meltdown, the crisis. And it took until 2012 to get back to the break-even point of $1 million. By then, many of our clients had tripled their money to $3 million, totally tax-free. So it's never too late, but then people started to pay attention. How did you do that? So in this book, I actually have 4 couples. I use fictitious names to replace their real names because these are real life stories. 4 couples that we helped accumulate an extra $1 million in 10 short years by repositioning and optimizing their existing assets, money that they were not optimizing as well as they could. And we generated an extra $1 million in less than 10 years, actually. And that $1 million predictably generates $100,000 a year of tax-free income. In other words, we were able to generate $100,000 a year tax-free. Instead of an IRA or 401k, you would have to have $1.5 million earning 10% to generate $150,000 of income. You pay tax on a third of it to net the same $100,000. So this was remarkable, and we were so blessed because so many people that read this book got empowered, and I received thank you notes from all over the country. Thank you, Mr. Andrew. You gave us hope, resurrected our ability to be able to retire, and in 10 short years from age 60 to age 70, from age 55 to age 65. Many people were 70, and they continued to be in motion adding value, and by age 80, they were set. And so let me explain to you some of the critical ways that we were able to empower people, even late in life, to not give up, not say, oh, it's too late for me. No, you can do this. And it starts out by having an analysis done of what assets you already have that you're underutilizing. So let me give you some examples. So I've often said it's not what you begin with that counts, it's what you end up with. Many times when I would meet with these people in their 50s, 60s, even 70s, I would do an analysis of their existing portfolio or their existing assets. And maybe they did get clobbered due to the market volatility and the recessions, the Great Recession that we had in the decade from 2000 to 2010, where they saw their account values drop 40% twice in that decade. And so that's why we call it the lost decade. But most of our clients had tripled their money from 2000 to 2012, totally tax-free. So people say, well, it's too late, right? I go, no, let me see where you have your money currently. So let's say they had $1 million and it was now worth $600,000. Most people have the tendency to wait until the $600,000 that it dropped down to comes back to the $1 million value, the high water mark they had. They want to wait until it gets there before they do anything. I go, no. You want to get the money out of that instrument while the values are less. Why? Well, because you're going to have to pay tax on that sooner or later. Would you rather pay tax on $600,000 in your tax bracket, let's say 33%? Would you rather pay tax of $200,000, or do you want to wait till it gets back up to $1 million and pay tax? More like a third of $1 million is $333,000. So do you want to pay tax of $200,000 or $330,000? Well, what difference does that make down the road? It's because after you get the taxes over and done with at the lower values at today's lower rates, you recapture the gain tax-free. You reposition that money tax-free. So for many people, we optimize their assets by doing a strategic rollout, getting the money out of their yet-to-be taxed IRAs or 401ks sooner than later, over a 5-year period most of the time. We got the taxes over with in today's lower brackets because most people realized your current tax bracket is likely the lowest bracket you will ever be in. So why do you want to keep postponing, deferring, delaying the inevitable, procrastinating, and then withdraw your money down the road when most people that I ask say, hey, I think future tax rates are going to be higher because of irresponsible government spending and the printing of money and bailouts and all kinds of stimulus packages. We've seen that with pandemics, with recessions. Taxes aren't going to go anywhere but up over the long haul. So it behooves you to get the taxes over and done with. So many times I would reposition money out of their yet-to-be taxed IRAs or 401ks that were in the market. I said, let's get it out of the market. Let's put it in an indexed universal life where it will be tax-free from now on. And let's recapture the gain and not lose next time the market loses. If you understand indexing, if you don't, you need to watch those episodes that explain that, or I'll show you how you can get a free copy of my book that explains this and recapture that gain. So you reposition maybe money in underperforming, yet to be taxed IRAs and 401ks. Sometimes people had real estate they thought was going to be their retirement. And when I did the analysis, they were renting the real estate for a measly 2% annual rate of return. In other words, people in California might have a house, a 5-bedroom house. They think, whoa, it's worth $4 million. And they're renting it out for $10,000 a month, and they think that's good. That's pathetic. There are 5-bedroom homes in other cities in this country like Memphis and Orlando that are worth $300,000 and rent out for 1% of the value a month, $3,000 a month. If that house in California is really worth $4 million, it ought to be renting for $40,000 a month. So sometimes people were underutilizing their current assets. And so we would move with a 1031 exchange and put them into real estate in other cities and quadruple their rate of return. But we wouldn't take the equity and put it in the new property. We'd put that into their insurance contracts. And the rental income is doing very well. But we're taking that $4 million, which we did for one couple. They had a home, and it was actually a 5-bedroom home. They originally paid $230,000 for. And about 35 years later, it was worth $4.6 million. Well, they were able to get a new home for $600,000 in a retirement community in a different state, and they paid a capital gain tax on some of it. but they were able to turn around and put $2.6 million into a max-funded universal life insurance contract, indexed universal life, and that is generating over $200,000 a year of tax-free income out of $4 million, netting $2.6 million after capital gain tax of lazy idle equity that was trapped in their house doing Zippo for them. See, there's a lot of assets people have. It could be real estate equity. It could be money trapped in IRAs and 401ks and thinking they can't tap into it because they're going to have to pay tax. Hello? You're not saving anything waiting. You're delaying the inevitable. Or you wouldn't believe how many people have $500,000 or $1 million sitting in a bank earning 1%. And I go, what's that doing in the bank at 1%? Well, we want it safe. I said, safety of principal or safety of the institution? Why don't you increase the safety of the institution by 6 notches higher by putting it where the bank is putting your money? They put 30 to 40% of their Tier 1 assets into legal reserve insurance companies, BOLI, bank-owned life insurance contracts. They borrow our money at 1 and they earn 5. How much more is 5 than 1? 500%. They make 5 times what they're paying you, and they increase the safety by 6 notches in the safety rankings. And so when you start analyzing assets and you go, I could increase the safety and move from 1% up to 7 or 8, 9, 10%? Yeah. Increase the rate of return, the liquidity, and the safety with existing assets. So a professional, the ones I point my students to, they look at all your assets. Underperforming, low yielding, not as safe vehicles, and reposition money in banks, credit unions, and underperforming real estate, and yet to be taxed IRAs and 401ks, you name it, and you reposition and put that into something that's going to grow tax-free from now on. And just like Last Chance Millionaire, many people within 10 years add another $1 million they would have never had. But even more important than an extra $1 million, that $1 million can generate $100,000 a year of tax-free income. If they had $1 million in where they had it before, they're lucky if it's generating $20,000 or $30,000 a year of income. Why not double, quadruple? Sometimes we have 5 times what people were earning where they had their money in other assets. That is called asset optimization. Here's how you can learn more. So here's the key takeaways. It's never too late, but wherever you reposition your assets, you want to increase the liquidity, the safety, the rate of return, and the tax benefits. That's called the laser test. You want to embrace and utilize the 3 marvels of wealth accumulation: compound interest, number 1, tax-free accumulation of your money, number 2, and then safe positive leverage. You want the ability to own and control assets with very little or none of your own money tied up or at risk in that asset. Where can you learn about those marvels or miracles and the laser test? It's in my book, The Laser Fund. Now, this book retails for $20. I want to gift you a free copy. It's a 300-page book containing all kinds of charts and graphs and explanations and 62 actual client stories. The book is $20 retail. I will gift it to you free. You just go to laserfund.com to claim your free copy by paying $5.95 shipping and handling. I'll pay for the book, you pay for the shipping. There's also options to get the audio and also videos that will help you understand these concepts. It can make the difference of having $20,000 or $30,000 a year of income versus $100,000 a year of income in less than 10 years. It's not too late for you.